Now, we mentioned on this program yesterday the problem of flammable cladding that's arisen in the past thanks to fires and other concerns being raised in Melbourne. Now, the Victorian government today has announced it'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars bankrolling works to remove combustible cladding from buildings right across that city. Our reporter Patrick Murrell joins us now live from Melbourne. Patrick, a new body is being established to oversee this process?
Yeah, that's right. Cladding Safety Victoria has been tasked with stripping combustible cladding off hundreds of high-rise buildings in Victoria. Now, over the past 2 years, the Victorian Building Authority has undergone an audit of buildings in Australia. They've looked at more than 2,200 buildings, the most rigorous investigation anywhere in the world, and they've identified 500 of them of being at the most extreme end of the danger scale when it comes to combustible cladding. The Victorian government has now allocated $600 million to strip cladding off those 500 buildings over the next 5 years. It's allocated $300 million of its own money, but it's asking the Commonwealth to contribute $300 million more.
There are $300 million that will be provided by the Victorian government. There is then a request for the Commonwealth, as recommended by the Cladding Task Force, for a proper partnership, a partnership that's beyond politics, a partnership that involves all parties.
Now, there's been no agreement from the Commonwealth just yet, but if it doesn't come to the table, the Victorian government says it will increase the building licence levy. Now, I'm still waiting on some exact figures for that, but I've been told for the average person, with average building, which is a $612,000 two-bedroom apartment in Melbourne, that increase will be about $2,200, and on the max end of the scale, it'll be about a $5,000 increase. In terms of recouping these costs, the Victorian government says that it will change the law to go after dodgy builders. Now, this is a problem because when private owners or private law firms have tried to go after these builders, well, they found that at the mere whiff of legal trouble, the company has collapsed, or they've collapsed after building the building, so that there's been nobody to go after. The government says that it's not above changing the law so that it can get money back from these dodgy builders. Take a listen.
For some time now, we've been looking at all options available to us, and that may involve the government stepping in and taking over from individual title holders members of a body corporate their right to sue. That may require us to change the law.
Now, this $600 million is still a very preliminary figure. The government has acknowledged it could go even higher as it pays for people's costs for living out of house while cladding is still being removed. As for the 2,200 buildings that have any sort of combustible cladding but aren't on the extreme end, well, they're still to be dealt with, and private firms have estimated the total cost of dealing with the problem in Victoria alone could go into the billions of dollars. There's been no agreement from the Commonwealth or indeed other states just yet on how best to tackle the problem on a national scale, but planning ministers will meet as part of COAG on Thursday.